Jungles.
Space.
Jungles.
Space.
Jungles have exotic animals, beautiful locations, and food. Actual food.
Space has space. It is endless. There are so many stars, so many galaxies you can go to. It's completely just mind-blowing.
No,
Yes.
you're gonna die in space.
Oh, you're going to die in the jungle, too.
You have a better chance of surviving in the jungle.
Oh, you have a better chance of having a fun time in space.
Jungles.
Space.
Jungles.
Space.
Jungles.
Space. Space. Space.
Hello, fellow film enthusiasts. Welcome back to the College Cinephile. I'm Isaiah Valverde.
And I'm Mark Gutierrez.
And today we will be debating two classic childhood adventure movies, Jumanji and Zathura.
Both films were adapted from the Van Allsburg children's books of the same name and cover similar themes of family playing a magical board game and trying to survive to the end.
But which film not only handles the story idea better, but is also a more overall enjoyable experience? I will be arguing for Jumanji.
And I will be arguing for Zathura.
So, let's get right to it.
Now, Zathura was directed by Jon Favreau and stars Jonah Bobo and starring roles for Hollywood giants Josh Hutcherson and Kristen Stewart. Now, brothers Danny and Walter find a game and embark themselves on a space adventure after finding the so-called game called Zathura. Now, to get back home, they must traverse the dangers of space, including meteors, gravity fields, and aliens. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd much rather go on a space adventure than a jungle adventure.
Alrighty then. Well, Jumanji is directed by Joe Johnston and stars Robin Williams, Kristen Dunst, Bradley Pierce, and Jonathan Hyde. The story follows a 12-year-old Alan Parrish who finds the Jumanji board game in 1969, and after playing it one night is trapped inside the game. 26 years later, he re-emerges when Wendy and Peter Shepard play the game, and together they must beat Jumanji before they succumb to the dangers of the jungle. Now, in my opinion, that sounds much more interesting than going up against space.
It's going to be like that, is it? Okay, Gotcha. Moving on to the characters. Now, the thing about that makes Zathura original is the cast. There aren't heavy hitters in the movie, but there are a lot of those child actors that really, really carry the show for the movie. Really, would you rather go for a movie just to watch one actor act or have an entire cast of just, overall good child actors amaze you with their acting skills at such a young age?
Okay, well, on that note, I'm pretty sure that goes without saying. Jumanji has Robin Williams as the main lead, Alan Parrish. He's great, and he's in his prime. This is a 90s film, so this is Robin Williams in his prime. He has the star power and charisma to carry the film, something that I feel that Zathura lacks. Yes, it has a couple of notable stars who go on to do better things, but Jumanji has Robin Williams, and that's what really carries and invests the film. It also has really good child actors as well that are very compelling, and they do well. They're not like your typical child actors that are annoying. Their relationship actually feels fluid and natural. And on top of that, Jonathan Hyde as the father/hunter is such a compelling character and also very frightening too for 90s type of films, especially with that whole dynamic with Robin Williams, which I will get into later.
Yeah, but I feel like if a movie is just about one singular actor, because you can talk to people about Jumanji and the one thing they're going to say is, oh, well, Robin Williams is in it. Well, who else is in it? That girl from Spider-Man's in it, right? You're not going to get that from Zathura. Of course, you have a bunch of newcomer Hollywood stars, like I mentioned before, Josh Hutcherson, Kristen Stewart. But they didn't make their names from this movie, but they provide a lot of good character detail that goes into the story. You go to a movie to watch the story and really feel those character dynamics, and you get that a lot with this. Another thing that has a lot of potential for Zathura is the CGI and practical effects. Now, for Zathura, the aliens that they have in the movie and even the robot are all practical effects with a few CGI bits in the middle, just so they can have that sort of, because there are a lot of stunts that they can't really do with practical effects, like jumping from higher corner to higher corner. But I feel like that's the one thing that Jumanji lacks is good CGI. You have at the time, that CGI was really good, but now you look at it, you go, well, that's a bit tacky. And the practical effects there, they just look a bit frozen, in Zathura, they have a lot more detail put into the aliens that they do and the animals for Jumanji.
I will agree on the point that the CGI is a bit dated from Jumanji, especially because it was like 90s CGI. But I think the practical effects in Jumanji are just on par with Zathura as in its own film. You got all the animatronic animals. The sequence with the spiders is like really scary. It honestly terrified me as a kid. And then just and that's the thing that I want to say is that like the practical effects really add to the fear of the movie, especially that sequence when one of the kids cheats the game and becomes like a monkey type of deal. You know, that really scares you as a kid. It's like, oh my God, he's becoming a monkey, you know? And yeah, Zathura has those fear elements as well, but I feel the fear is stronger in Jumanji because it's grounded in somewhat of reality because, you know, these fears we actually encounter in our everyday lives, the fear of death, the fear of, you know, ferocious animals, whereas it's the space fear, it's not so much real because you have like the Zordons, I believe that's what they're called, the aliens creatures, and yeah, they're scary, but I think as a child you would be more scared of like something that could actually kill you rather than something that's fake in space. But I think where Jumanji has the strongest point is in its emotional core. Yeah, Zathura has that element of like the whole sibling rivalry. But what I like about Jumanji is the whole dynamic with Robin Williams' character, Alan Parrish, and his father. Because in the beginning of the movie, we see how the father really resents the child and doesn't really talk to him, and like how they don't really have a strong relationship. It's kind of, I will say it is kind of a typical 90s relationship of the rich father neglecting the son. But then where they elevate that is that Alan Parrish goes through like the trials of Jumanji and ends up having to face his own fear of his father within the game, which the father ends up being the hunter. It's kind of like a symbolic thing that he has to conquer. And once he conquers that and comes out of the game, it sends him back in time to his original time before the game. And that's when he confronts his father then, and he cries in his arms and he tells him how sorry he is and stuff. What's different about that relationship over most 90s rich father neglected son thing is that the son changes, not the father. The father doesn't come to the realization that, oh, like I messed up. It's the son that realizes and he matures and he becomes better. And it's through his changing that the father changes as well. He realizes, oh, I'm doing bad too. And the relationship grows together. And I think Jumanji nails that really well.
Mm-hmm. I see that a lot in Jumanji and I respect it for it. But I feel like the whole father-son dynamic isn't really in Zathura. There's more of that brother rivalry, like you said. And throughout the movie, they always hint at how if they were apart, they'd be better off, like without him. Like there are constantly times where the older brother tells the younger brother that he's not important, that it would be much better without him, and the younger brother responds accordingly. But I think throughout the movie, you start to feel that kind of sibling rivalry towards your own siblings. Like, I don't know about you, but with my siblings, it was a lot of like going back and forth on who was the best at this and that. But I feel like towards the end of the movie, you kind of look back at it, you just think, well, that's just dumb. Like, why do that when we can just be working together, talking to each other and stuff like that? And that happens a lot in the movie too. Towards the end, they encounter an astronaut along the way, and it turns out this astronaut was the older brother in an alternate past where he wished his brother away with one of the cards that you get from the game. Now, immediately afterwards, he wasn't able to finish the game. He was always had that guilt of losing his brother because of what he did. And I feel like that's one of the most like important plot points in the movie. You kind of feel that dread, that guilt for resenting your sibling because of this. And I feel like, and towards the end of the movie, I was just like looking around at my brothers and sisters going, man, I love you guys. Like, I do not want to go through that because like that sibling rivalry will just drive you insane and drive you to do like all sorts of bad things. I feel like in this movie, you kind of see that as a proper example of what would you be like without your siblings. You'd be lost without them. And I kind of feel that. And yeah, that's kind of like how I feel towards that.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Definitely we can say definitively that these are two really good children's movies and they teach really valuable lessons. But I just feel that like, even though Zathura goes with it in a different way of how the sibling rivalry and of course the whole twist with the older astronaut being the brother, I just feel like we have more of a like kind of like vast movies, others to pick those kind of like lessons from, whereas Jumanji back then like was like one of the only ones that had that lesson of like the father and that the son is the one that matures. Where, like I said, like Zathura is a lesson that has been taught before, and yes, it goes about it a different way, but I feel like Jumanji's is more unique.
Okay, I feel you on that, and I respect you for it. I think we should go into overall like feelings towards it.
Yeah.
For me, Zathura was like a really good childhood movie to me. I saw it when I was a kid. I had the game, I had the book. It was a big part of my childhood, and I always brought the game to places with me, even though people didn't ask for it. Like, why'd you bring this? Well, it's just an awesome game. Have you seen the movie? No. But sure, Jumanji is a classic, but the only thing that it has for it is Robin Williams and his Robin Williams-ness. Overall, I'd give Zathura a 4 out of 5 reels. That's just me. Like, I love this movie, and I feel like it'd be a big part of my childhood.
I respect what you said. I do, like I said, I agree. Both of these are really great, good tier children's movies, and they have a lot to offer. But I feel like Jumanji is like one of the pinnacle of like 90s childhood films and has a lot to offer in storytelling and life lessons. Yes, Zathura has more of like that modern appeal, like how you said, like how you had the video game and stuff with its space adventure. But I just feel like Jumanji has the capability of resonating with more audiences. And yeah, it has Robin Williams, and that elevates the movie a lot. But I don't think that's the only thing that people take away from it. It's the lessons as well. And I too will also give Jumanji a 4 out of 5 reels. And in the end, yeah, these are two really well done movies. Yeah. Hey guys, thank you for watching our latest College Cinephile debate. Let us know what you think down below about what we talked about. Let us know your opinions as well as against Jumanji and Zathura, and what you liked or don't liked about those movies.
Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and do check out our more recent videos, our past reviews, and just check out everything, man.
Yeah, so thank you for watching, and hopefully you come around again, and we'll be seeing you really soon.